What's going on, guys? Welcome to Frank's Media and Reviews, and happy spooky season! This is my favorite time of the year. For me, spooky season starts September 1st and it doesn't end until October 31st. The month of September, I watch movies that just get me warmed up and hyped about Halloween, and then October, it's all about business. All of the classic ones that I watch year after year. So, in this video, I'm going to discuss what makes spooky season special to you, or, why is spooky season special to you, and what horror movie gets you in the mood for this type of season. So I'm going to start. Spooky season special to me because all the wonderful times that I had when I was a kid, when I was with my dad, just fun memories. I remember dressing up as the Dominoid. I remember dressing up as Jason from Friday the 13th. I mean, I simply love it. Of course, the candy. And then now I love it even more because as a parent, seeing a Halloween through their eyes, I just love it. And they know that right now I just go crazy and they feed off my energy, and they just simply love Halloween, the spooky season as well. So the Halloween movie that gets me in the mood for spooky season that I've noticed I've been watching for a number of years now. I mean, I guess since 2021, I think 2022, is Halloween Kills. I know this is really new, but I'm not going to lie to you guys. This movie gets me excited for spooky season. I know it's very unusual, but this movie has some of the great Halloween kills in the entire franchise. I love how menacing Michael Myers is. I love the music. I love the beginning of this film and the ending as well. This movie I get so excited for Halloween that I watch various amounts of Halloween movies within the franchise. But this is the one that I've noticed for the past few years gets me amped up for spooky season. So enough about me, guys. In this video is some of my good friends that I have met since being a content creator. I asked them the same question. And so let's see some of my favorite people and their choices.
Hey everybody, my name is Chris. I run the Nightmare Collective YouTube channel where we cover weird and obscure horror movies, as well as sometimes, always some Vinegar Syndrome physical media. So Frank has asked me to answer two questions for you. One, what movie gets me in the Halloween mood? And two, why do I love Halloween so much? So I'm going to answer with a story. When I was a boy, I used to love dressing up in whatever would scare the crap out of my mom and my sister. Sometimes I was forced to be things I didn't want to be, like the genie from Aladdin. I don't know how I allowed that to happen. I was a small boy. I couldn't do anything, okay? So I loved it because I would just dress up, scare my sister, be thrust into the night, no supervision, because you could do that back then. I would get rewarded by scaring my sister with buckets and buckets of candy. I would then retrieve my treasure trove and come home, dump it all out, hope there weren't razors in there because there was always a threat of death on top of the reward. Anyway, I would dump it all out, share it with my friends. We'd split it, we eat it, and then we'd sit in front of the smallest CRT you've ever seen in your life, and we'd pop in my VHS copy of John Carpenter's Halloween. That theme would hit, and I was in pure ecstasy, pure joy. That was my Halloween experience. So how do you mirror that as an adult with no children? I pop in John Carpenter's Halloween. Now, that is not my answer, but that is primarily what I think about when I think about Halloween. Me as a kid sitting in front of that, scaring the crap out of myself and my sister. And I think about those memories a lot when October hits. Also, the other thing is everybody watches horror movies. So I use it as my time to watch the big ones, the Halloweens, the Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Streets, the classics, because most of the year I'm watching garbage B movies that no one's ever heard of. So it's my time to be a bit normal and watch all of that stuff. So my real answer for the film is Michael Dowdry's Trick or Treat, because it embodies all of Halloween. There is Sam in it. He's such a great character that is trying to uphold the tradition of Halloween. You've got, trick-or-treaters. You've got adults that don't like Halloween and they pay the repercussions for that. You've got an old man who committed a crime and the kids dressed up are coming back to haunt him. So there's just so much I love about it because it is through and through such a Halloween film. Maybe one day we'll get a sequel, but that is my answer. I just think about my childhood and why I love it. So thanks, Frank, for allowing me to be part of your video.
Hello, everyone. My name is Daniel with the Cobwebs channel, and thank you so much, Frank, for having me on your channel. And hello, all the viewers of Frank's Media and Reviews. I'm so happy to be here to talk about Halloween, what it means to me, and what movies really get me into the season. Now, it's almost hard for me to put into words how much I love Halloween, how much Halloween has always meant to me ever since I was a little kid. Halloween was so special growing up, and my dad, he really made it so special for me and my siblings. Like, he would always show us Universal Monsters movies around this time of year, or House on Haunted Hill. He would help us make Halloween decorations. Like, I remember distinctly cutting out pieces of construction paper and putting them together to make monsters, like especially like a Frankenstein monster. Like, cut out a head out of green construction paper and then cut out arms and a torso and like tape them all together and put them up on the walls. We'd make a bunch of monsters that way. I even remember going up to my dad. We would go up to my dad and just be like, can you draw Frankenstein for us? And he'd draw Frankenstein and we'd cut it out and put that on the walls, and carving pumpkins. Like, we always carved pumpkins. It was so much fun. And the anticipation building towards trick-or-treating was just everything to me. Like, it was so much fun. And even though my family didn't have a lot of money growing up, my parents would always buy us costumes. I was usually Dracula or Batman pretty much every year, I'll tell you. So some kind of a bat person, I pretty much always was. But it was so much fun to just like go to the Halloween section of Walmart or whatever. Because I don't remember ever going to a Spirit Halloween. I don't even know if we had them back then, to be honest with you. But I always go in the Halloween section, looking at all the decorations. And even though like I was a scaredy cat as a kid, like I liked the old classic horror movies, but I was very scared of anything else. Going to the Halloween section, looking at those masks, looking at the ghost face mask, even from Scream, absolutely terrifying, but I loved it. And then going out trick-or-treating, my dad would always take me and my siblings, and it was so much fun. Like, I could not wait all day on October 31st. And we'd go out, and it was just the best thing ever. And I even have this distinct childhood memory of the smell of hay associated with Halloween, probably because we went to like a haunted house attraction or some kind of spooky farm kind of event. I don't even remember why, but do you also do that? You smell hay and you just think, Halloween. Like, that's just the perfect Halloween scent. I love this season so much. And to talk about a movie that really puts me into the Halloween spirit, I'm going to talk about Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow, or as Christopher Lee says in the film, Sleepy Hollow. I love a lot of classic horror stories, Frankenstein, Jekyll and Hyde, Dracula being probably my favorite story of all time. But my favorite story specifically for the Halloween season and for fall is The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving. I love that story so much. It gets me into the spirit. Like, I love to just go on walks through nature in the crisp fall air and listen to an audio version of Sleepy Hollow. It's just the best. And I don't just love Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow. I also love the Disney version from 1949. It was actually released theatrically as The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. It's technically two shorts put together. Half of it is The Wind in the Willows. It's the wild ride of Mr. Toad, which is a good story, and it's okay. But the second half is an adaptation of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, and it's like the coziest, most wonderful thing for fall and Halloween ever. Some people might be surprised to find out that most of it is actually just a love triangle between Ichabod Crane, Brom Bones, and Katrina Van Tassel, but that's what the story is, and I love that story. But then when it gets to the end with the wild ride of the horsemen chasing Ichabod Crane, it's the best version of that ever. It's so awesome. It's all narrated by Bing Crosby. Bing Crosby sings 3 songs throughout it. Every song is great. I think they're 3 of the best songs in all of Disney. But I do also really love the Tim Burton version. Very different. He took a lot of liberties with the story, but I think the liberties he took are very good ideas, very good ways to kind of update this for a modern, like Hollywood kind of audience, make this a fun, exciting Hollywood movie, not just about a love triangle. I love the original version, but it made a lot of good decisions. I think it's one of Johnny Depp's best performances here as Ichabod Crane, and he's extra fun to watch when you learn that his inspiration for his performance was actually Angela Lansbury in Murder, She Wrote, which is really fun. You can kind of see that inspiration there. And the Headless Horseman is so awesome. Played by Ray Park in the Headless sequences, who's a great stuntman, and played by Christopher Walken whenever he does have a head. Clearly inspired by Christopher Lee as Dracula. It's basically like, what if Christopher Lee Dracula was the Headless Horseman? This is an awesome movie. It's got great period piece, colonial, fall atmosphere with jagged trees, gloomy skies, leaves blowing in the wind, and my favorite ghost of all time riding through, a galloping Hessian searching for his lost head, the Headless Horseman. So the story of Sleepy Hollow, it's like my favorite thing to ring in the Halloween season. So thank you, Frank, so much for having me on to talk about one of my favorite movies, two of my favorite movies, really, I cheated, and my favorite holiday. I hope you all have a wonderful season. Make sure to do some fun stuff to celebrate this wonderful time of year. Thank you so much, and I'll see you later.
Hi, I'm Gigi with Room for Scream, and why Halloween is so special to me is, one, it's just cozy season. I love more than anything to be a cozy girl in her cozy world. I love candles. I love the wind blowing. I love leaves falling. You just feel nice and comfy, cozy. I can snuggle with my dogs and my cats and just like have a fire going. I also associate Halloween with like being a kid. So Halloween used to be a huge deal in my house. Like my mom would let us take school off that day. She would take work off that day. We would be like watching movies all day long. And my parents were definitely the kind of parents that like let me watch horror movies way too early. So we'd be watching like scary movies. We would bake. One of our biggest traditions was baking these little like vanilla cupcakes, like just the ones that you get out of the box, but making vanilla cupcakes with chocolate icing and having the little like Halloween sprinkles. I have so many childhood photos making exactly that. So it's just a nice little special place in my heart that reminds me of just being with my family. Horror movies that get me into the Halloween spirit, definitely Hocus Pocus. I love Hocus Pocus so much. I have multiple copies of Hocus Pocus. I think that's the only movie I have like a physical copy of, a digital copy of. It's like on streaming services. I make sure that I have it everywhere because I watch it every Halloween without fail. And it's not really like a horror movie, but it's just like, you know, one of those kiddish, like spooky movies, but that always gets me into the Halloween spirit because that's also just very nostalgic, going back to like why I love Halloween so much. I also have to watch Trick or Treat every year. That is a must watch for Halloween season. I love Sam. He's everywhere. He's in the little background of my setup. Love Sam so much. He's one of my favorite characters in horror movies. It just brings out so many autumnal feelings, and there's really not a lot of horror movies that feel very like Halloween-y, and Trick or Treat definitely just nailed that feeling. Another movie I love to watch during Halloween time is Haunt, which is, it's not really like super Halloween-y, but I love going to Halloween haunts, like any type of like scary houses where they like come and jump out at you. I love that. So I love that Haunt takes place in like a Halloween haunt, because you always have that thought when you're going into a haunt, like, what if this was real and they killed me? So I love that movie.
Everybody, this is Josh from Beyond the Grave Media with a very special public service announcement. This October, dare to keep your kids from All Hallows Eve. Oh, but seriously, dude, when Frank asked me like, hey man, we're going to make a video and we want you to talk about why you love Halloween, I was stressing out. I'm in here sweating. I'm like, oh no. Halloween's my favorite holiday. Ever since I was a little kid, when my parents let me first dress up as this skeleton right here, I was like, dude, there's something special about this holiday. I get to go around, pick up candy. And then I started noticing like all the 90s ads on TV, right? You'd have like the Doritos, you have all the famous like different Universal monsters on the Pepsi, the commercials, the like swag that came with it. There was like Halloween flavors and I was just obsessed. Cobwebs, skeletons, jack-o'-lanterns, even those stupid lawn bags that people would have on. I would save those when I was little. I was like, dude, we need to take care of these pumpkins to put our leaves in. I love Halloween. It's my favorite thing in the entire world. All right, time to pick a movie off of the shelf. What are we going with? And then I had the impossible task of trying to pick one movie that says October, that says Halloween for me. I've got 1,138 honorable mentions. But no, for real, the first movie I watch every October is Pumpkinhead. I end it with House of a Thousand Corpses, or this is my number one film, 1988's Night of the Demons. This is Halloween. This is 80s horror. This is perfection. I watched this movie maybe twice during Halloween. I like to do all three once in a while. Night of the Demons for me, dude, it's scary, it's fun, it's hip. It's got like all the different cliches about Halloween, what to stay away from. Oh, those kids are going to get what's coming to them. Amazing music, banger soundtrack, a little bit of TNA. It's got everything. Tons of gore. It's evil. It's demonic. You're not supposed to like it. And the cover art scared the crap out of me as a kid. It's my favorite. This is my go-to. Night of the Demons. Just kidding. After this video, I threw my script away. Night of the Demons is what you should watch, but I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that every Halloween, we don't finish the season in my family until my little brother gets together and we drink beer and watch Dead Alive. That's our jam every October. It's not Halloween till we finish that. But in the meantime, my go-to Halloween pick, Night of the Demons.
What is up, Frank's Media and Reviews, and everybody else? I am Ken Sledge,
And I'm Ashley Sledge.
and we are Sledgehammer Horror.
So we are going to tell you guys why Halloween means so much to us. And this could be like a hour video, to be honest with you.
For those of you that don't know Sledgehammer Horror, we are husband and wife. We've been together 20 years. So when she's talking about these traditions, I've been a part of these for 20 years. So that's why it's so special to me as well.
So ever since I was a kid, we did Halloween stuff. We had Halloween parties, trick-or-treating. My parents even dressed up, and that's why I still do that today. And now, you know, we took over. We do the Halloween parties every year, so it's like our annual thing. My grandpa passed away 5 years ago now, and this year will be our 5th annual
Frank Austin Trunk or Treat.
Austin Trunk or Treat. And this is where my entire family fills up. My grandma, she's got this huge lot. We fill it up with all of our cars, and we do trunk or treating in honor of him because he loved Halloween so much.
The whole city comes over.
Everybody in the city brings their kids, and they all get candy, and we grill up hot dogs and, you know, give them hot dogs and chips, and everybody gets something.
Competitions,
Yep.
like whose trunk is decorated the best, and
It's
best
all-
costumes. It's Frank. I know every year Frank looks down and smiles because Halloween was so special to Frank.
And he was such a family man, and they kind of lived out of the city a little bit, and they would buy so much candy, and not
make popcorn balls.
Yep, we do that. So with my grandma, and I know, you know, she's getting older, and every year she's like, you got to continue this tradition when I'm not here, which I'm like, stop, I don't want to hear that. But it's family to me. When I think of Halloween, more than even Christmas, it's my family coming together.
Right. And as for the movie that gets us in the Halloween spirit, we're going to cheat a little bit because there's two. Because we have two movies we watch every single year. The first one is Trick or Treat, although I'm not a fan of the film.
He's not a fan, but he still watches it for...
Our daughters love it. My wife loves it. Our daughters, we go to Spirit Halloween. We get them their Sam Suckers. They eat their Sam Suckers, and we all watch together. And after Trick or Treating, we always sit down to Hocus Pocus.
Every year.
We've done that for 20 years, and our son has done it for 16. Our middle daughter's done it for 12, and our youngest has done it for 4. So it's a tradition that we hope they carry on with their families and call us and tell us to come over and watch Hocus Pocus with them.
Yeah, so even when they're adults, hey, Mom, come over and watch with my kids, and I'll be like, I will be right there. I don't care what state you're in.
After trick-or-treating, we'll be there.
We will.
Thank you guys so much. Frank, thank you so much for doing this. This is a great idea. We love when people interact with the community and they bring the communities together. And there's so much of that going on this Halloween season, and we couldn't be happier to be involved in all of this. So if you guys haven't already, please subscribe to Sledgehammer Horror. If you're here from Sledgehammer Horror, make sure you're subscribing to Frank's Media and Reviews. And until next time, keep talking horror.
Stay who you are.
And we'll see you guys soon.
Bye, guys.
Hey everyone, what's up? This is Knight from the Night Watch Zone, and the question that Frank has asked me is, why is Halloween a special time of the year for me? And there's so many things about this part of the year that is so special to me. It just has such a cool vibe. You know, the weather has changed, the leaves are on the ground, all of those things that you associate with horror movies. And being that horror is my favorite genre, it's just a great time of the year. You've got all the kids that are getting ready to do things like trick-or-treating and going to parties. It's really cool, man. It takes me back to my childhood. I love so many films. There are so many horror movies that really get me into the spirit for Halloween. Most recently, in the last several years, movies like The Descent. I love that film so much. I think it's severely underrated. It's creepy, it's claustrophobic, it has scares and a lot of surprises. I love it so much. And when I get together with buddies and we watch horror movies and order pizza and stuff like that, that was a movie that we always made sure was in our list that we would rotate around in. Some other films that I absolutely love, like The Shining, that always gets me in the mood for Halloween as well. Return of the Living Dead, one of my favorite films of all time. But I couldn't forget the movie that got me into horror when I was a little kid, around 7 years old, and that's Friday the 13th, the original Friday the 13th. And that film got me into horror, and I just went on a rampage as a kid watching everything else. So that movie and that franchise is definitely a special one to me. It's my favorite horror franchise of them all. So Friday the 13th is always a film that I watch, usually around this time of the year leading into Halloween. Now, all of that being said, obviously, and you can see right behind me, I've got some amazing films, but Halloween from 1978 is probably my top choice for the film that gets me in the mood. And I know it's cliche because it's Halloween, but honestly, I watch it every Halloween and I've done so for the last, I don't even know, 20 years. It's just crazy. But it's a film that has so many great elements, the atmosphere, the tension, the way it was shot by Carpenter, cinematography from Dean Cundy, and of course, Michael stalking these unsuspecting babysitters. It's a great story. It's a great film. Loomis is my favorite horror character of all time. When I think of this film, and especially when I'm watching it with people, I'm just waiting for those moments to happen where Michael is coming out of the shadows or where he's doing his kills. And it's always just so much fun. Even though you know what's going to happen, there's still those moments of like, oh, yeah, he did it. Oh, and it's a really cool film that just gets the juices flowing and gets me so hyped and pumped up for Halloween season. So if you make me pick one, that's probably the ultimate one that gets me in the mood and I watch every single year around Halloween time. Thank you to Frank for inviting me to be a part of this collab. I can't wait to see it and hear from all these other content creators what they think about the season and what makes it special for them. But anyways, guys, I'll catch you guys later. Take it easy. Peace.
What's going on, everybody? Bearded Film Guy here. And first off, I want to give a huge shout out to Frank for allowing me to be a part of this incredible Halloween collaboration video. To me, Halloween is kind of the rebellious time of the year, right? It's the one time of year where people kind of let the devils in, right? We celebrate this culturally. You go to every single store is just filled with gothic imagery, from skeletons to devils and all kinds of stuff in it. It's such a cool celebration that seems to have gotten just more and more popular with collectible culture, just culture in general. So to me, Halloween was kind of that time where I wasn't alone in it. I had people around me that love this stuff just as much as I do, and it was being celebrated. And though I was celebrating it year round, these people were only celebrating it for a month, maybe two. It was such a cool time to just be, surrounded by that vibe. So it's a holiday that always fit well to me. And one movie that I always put on to kind of kick it off is The Witch by Robert Eggers. And this is a movie that absolutely demands for you to put the fireplace on, have a blanket on, some food on your couch side table, some snacks, and just really, really be prepared for the macabre folk horror reference style that you're going to get out of The Witch. Robert Eggers is an incredible director. He knew what he was doing. Obviously I watch Trick or Treat, I watch Halloween, I watch Tales of Halloween. There's so much stuff that we watch, but if you really want to throw your guests off, if you're throwing a Halloween party, you're going to do a movie night, and you really, really, really want to throw them a curveball, something that kind of like, yeah, I got something for you. It's going to be The Witch. From trying to understand the time period accurate dialogue to the absolute horrors on display for the 100 minutes of this runtime. I don't really think there is a more Halloween kickoff movie to me than The Witch, and celebrating it with Black Phillip every single year is the way that I love to get into the Halloween season. So thank you so much again, Frank, for having me on. This is incredible. I'm so happy to be here. And I hope everybody has a killer Halloween season. I cannot wait to be talking horror movies until November 1st, and then all the way until next October. So see ya, everyone. Stay spooky.
Hey, what's up? This is Ken from Mid-Level Media. So my buddy Frank over at Frank's Media and Reviews asked me to join this collaborative video talking about the holiday of Halloween and a movie that gets me in the Halloween spirit. So when it comes to Halloween itself, it's hard to remember where it all started for me, but this is a holiday that's always been very special to me. I think a big reason for that is the month of October, just in general, always felt like a special month because my birthday's at the beginning of October, and then at the end of October, we have Halloween. So the whole month just always felt like an event month, and I've loved horror movies probably since I was like 9 or 10 years old. I've been watching these movies. Used to go to the video stores all the time and rent out the horror section, but there is something about, like, we as horror fans, we watch horror like all year long, right? But there is something about like watching these movies in the actual like spooky season. When you walk outside, you feel the chill in the air, the fall leaves, like just knowing all that is happening outside during this time just really enhances the experience. So I've always loved the holiday. I always loved going trick-or-treating. I love dressing up. Like in high school, I used to dress up like Michael Myers. Like I think all 4 years of high school, I would come to school like actually dressed as Michael Myers on Halloween. I was in haunted houses back in the day. I used to love going to haunted houses. So I just loved everything Halloween. The hay rides, the pumpkin carving, just all that stuff. I grew up in a small town, so we had a lot of like cool events around the town during the fall seasons, the Halloween season. So there's always just something about this time period that I've just gravitated towards my entire life. So I love Halloween. I used to host Halloween parties where I would invite friends over and we would stay outside in the garage and watch horror movies and eat junk food all night. I did that probably when I was in middle school and then early parts of high school. So as I get older, I still love the holiday, but it's definitely not as special as it was when I was a kid because, of course, you got adult things to worry about in your adult life. But October, Halloween time, just this time period in general, like when you feel that cold air, that fall air, there's just something about it. It just awakens something inside of you. So I'll always love the holiday of Halloween itself. Now, getting into a movie that gets me in the Halloween spirit, like I said, as horror fans, like we're watching this stuff all the time. Like I watch Halloween sometimes like in May or April. So I feel like it's tough to find a movie that specifically I like to watch in the fall around the Halloween time because I just watch horror movies all the time. But a movie that I can think of off the top of my head that feels like that perfect fall movie that I really only like watching during the fall time. And it's not even my favorite John Carpenter movie. I like the movie and I know people that do really love this movie and it's their favorite. But The Fog from John Carpenter just gives me those perfect fall Halloween feels every single time I watch it. There's just something about this movie. It's incredibly atmospheric and it just feels like fall. Like you feel the chill in the air like when you watch this movie. And the fact that it opens up kind of like a campfire tale, like a ghost story. The pirates that come at the end. It's just such a spooky, like atmospheric experience throughout. And it really does get me into that Halloween spirit and Halloween mood. And I think it has the perfect soundtrack and score. The music is so great. So I really enjoy The Fog, but only around the Halloween spooky season. I really am never in the mood to watch this film any other time of the year. And again, not my favorite John Carpenter movie. I think the story's kind of not great, but I think the mood and the atmosphere that it presents and it sets just kind of sets it apart from every other movie in the genre. It makes it the perfect fall horror spooky season watch. So thank you so much for inviting me to this video, Frank. I appreciate it. I'll see you next time.
What's up, everybody? Garrett back here from Born to Be Rad, and I want to talk about Halloween, the season, the holiday, and what it means to me. Halloween has been something so special to me since I was a little kid. I mean, the idea of dressing up, going out and getting candy, the fall weather, it was just something I always loved because I was always into things, right? So I was always into cartoons or specific shows or movies, and to know that I could transform into those characters once a year was just really, really cool to me. And then as I got older, started getting into a little bit more stuff like monsters and horror movies and stuff like that. It got even cooler to me because not only was I excited for what I was going to be, but I was also excited to see all the cool costumes everybody else was going to be. But one of the biggest things about Halloween that I absolutely loved, especially being a horror fan and loving scary stuff since I was a little kid, is watching things around Halloween, horror movies. And one of the ones that I like to watch every year that always holds a special place in my heart is actually Halloween 2. Now, why Halloween 2? Why not the original, the classic? Well, Halloween 2 was actually the first one that I ever seen on TV as a little kid. I just happened to catch it on TV with the name Halloween, and I was like, ooh, what is this? This makes perfect sense to watch because it is Halloween. And man, I absolutely love this one so much. It was my introduction to Michael Myers, and it's one I always go back to every year. Now, Frank, thank you for having me on here today, man, talking about my love for Halloween and which movie I like to watch every year that really represents the nostalgia of Halloween for me. And like I said, this is Garrett at Born to Be Rad, and like always, stay.
Hey Frank, thank you so much for inviting us on for this Halloween collab video. To everybody else, my name is Brendan.
I'm Sam.
And we are Our Life in Horror.
So why is Halloween a special holiday for you?
I just, like, as a kid, I've always been, like, infatuated with it. I love all the spooky stuff. I loved the idea of getting to dress up every year as Halloween, for Halloween. The candy, just the festive times, really. I love just the pumpkin carving. I love all the activities, and it's just always been there for me as a kid growing up. So it's definitely transferred over to as an adult.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. It brings out your inner child.
Yeah.
And like, I even get excited. Like, we don't have kids and we don't plan on having them, but I get excited to like hand out candy.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, and see what costumes they're going to be in. And we always watch a movie every year and have little those pumpkin cookies you can buy. The
Pillsbury Doughboy ones.
Yeah, we make those every year and have candy. And yeah, it's just festive. I love to decorate. It's just an exciting time of year, especially as horror fans.
Yeah.
So what is a movie that you watch?
So I've slacked on this movie a couple years. I remember showing it to you, what was it, last year, 2 years ago?
I think so.
And you didn't like it.
No,
So I
it
think
wasn't my thing.
I think that's why I didn't watch it last year. But a movie that always reminds me of Halloween is Tales from the Crypt. We got Demon Knight, because this is one of those movies that was always on the Sci-Fi Channel around this time.
Mm-hmm.
And growing up, that was like every Friday night they were playing horror movie after horror movie. But especially in Halloween, they were busting out the more like low budget movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember catching this one and Bordello of Blood as like a back-to-back as a kid and just loving it and never knowing what it was called. And then years later, refinding it and just even more appreciation came out of me for this movie. I think it is such a great time. Billy Zane just absolutely eats it up. William Sadler's great. I love the practical effects. So yeah, this movie just it's not even really a Halloween movie. It's just like there's no Halloween theme to it.
It's nostalgic.
Yeah, for some reason to me it feels Halloween.
Okay.
What about you?
Mine is, I thought we had a copy of it, but that just makes me excited to go buy a copy because we couldn't find it, is Halloween Town. This movie will not get old for me. I mean, I'm 32 years old and I still put it on every year. Yeah. Whether it's on in the background while I'm decorating or I'm just watching it on a Saturday afternoon. Halloween Town is just nostalgic for me because it was always on the Disney Channel and watched it all the time as a kid. Another one, because I'm being greedy here, will be Hocus Pocus. This is another one I love to watch every year. It's still just as good. It's got the adult humor thrown into it too. I love Sarah Jessica Parker in it. It's witchy. Yeah, that would definitely be a runner-up for me.
Awesome.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Frank, for inviting us onto this collaboration.
Yes, thank you.
And stay spooky.
Hey there, everyone. Davey Death Ray here, and spooky season is officially upon us. I'm so excited that Frank asked me to take part in this because I can't wait to tell you guys why I love the holiday of Halloween so much. and the movie that's been putting me in the mood for the fall season ever since I was a little kid. So let's get right into it. So guys, I am an early 80s baby, and I grew up in a little town in Alaska called Juneau. It's the capital, but it's just about 30,000 people. So I grew up in this era, maybe, the last era that experienced this, the last generation of kids that got this sort of freedom where on Halloween you came home from school, you had a little something to eat, you put on your costume, and then your parents just said, get out of here, come back at 9, just do whatever you want to do. I grew up in the kind of town where you left your doors unlocked, and it was very liberating to have that experience on Halloween night, just a pod of your friends walking around, getting candy from all the neighborhood folk. We had those plastic giant jack-o'-lantern buckets. I can still smell just that mixture of all those candies, the fun-size Three Musketeers and Butterfingers, the Sweethearts, the Twizzlers, all that kind of stuff. It's like I can still sense that when I think about Halloween, and that's one of the reasons why I love it so much. And let's just be honest, I like being scared and I like having fun with that. To me, horror and being scared is just like a roller coaster ride, You feel like you're going to be safe no matter what happens, but it's thrilling nonetheless. And that's what Halloween means to me. And the movie that's put me in the mood for spooky season ever since I was 6 or 7 years old is The Monster Squad from 1987, written by the amazing Fred Dekker, who also wrote Night of the Creeps and wrote some of the best Tales from the Crypt episodes. This movie was my Goonies, guys, and of course I love the Goonies, it's fun and everything, but this was the movie that I was renting from the video store on VHS multiple times a year, especially during the Halloween season, and now that I'm a grown-ass man in his 40s, this is the one that brings me back. Whenever the weather starts changing and there's a little bit of crispness in the air, The Monster Squad is the movie that I want to put on. It's got the classic look of those Universal monsters, really funny, great performances, some heartwarming moments as well, and some real shit that you don't really see in kids' movies nowadays, and something that I cherish, especially the older I get when I look back. So thank you so much to Frank's Media and Reviews for inviting me to take part in this. Really appreciate it, Frank, and I hope you guys are having the best spooky season possible. Let us know in the comments below what's the movie that really makes you feel the Halloween season, and what makes you love the holiday of Halloween so damn much.
Hey everybody, this is Chase with AV Pop Culture, and thank you, Frank, for having me on to talk about one of my favorite things, and that is Halloween and Halloween season. As you might can tell, I'm just a little bit of a fan. I love Halloween. I make horror movies for a living. That's what I've done for a really long time. It means so much to me as a kid growing up in the early and mid 80s. I mean, trick-or-treating was big, man. I had an older brother, 4 years older than me, and we would just go out and we'd take pillowcases and just bring back bags and bags of candy, dressing up as our favorite horror movie characters and watching movies and scaring each other and staying up and getting spooked out and things like that. Halloween has just always meant so much to me. It is my favorite time of year. Fall, I love the chill in the air. I love nighttime. I love when things are lit up. I get a lot of my energy at nighttime. I love the crisp, cool, everything about the autumn season for me. I was a football player, so I love it's football season during this time of year. The leaves are changing. It's a little cozy. You got that nip in the air. You watch horror movies. And, there's lots of good food around. There is no downside to this time of year. And I absolutely love it. I love going in and shopping for Halloween stuff and going in stores and looking around. It is all for me. And the movie that I always look at to put me in that horror mood, that Halloween mood, the season, for me. Now it's changed over the years because more and more movies come out, and I know what you're expecting. You're expecting me to say Halloween. And while I do love Halloween, and it's definitely one of those films, there is one movie that I go to that sort of encompasses everything and gives me that vibe, and it is Trick or Treat. This movie inspired me so much. This and Creepshow, two of my favorite anthologies of all time, that it inspired me on a film that I made, Creature Feature, an anthology, definitely some Trick or Treat flavor in it. But to me, this movie just captures everything. First of all, it takes place on Halloween, and surprisingly few horror films take place on Halloween. So, and are really about the holiday itself. This is literally about the holiday of Halloween and the vibes of that, and like the rules of Halloween and the spirit of Halloween, and all that encompasses, and it's told throughout different tales. And then you add like a comic book factor in it, and all of that, it just blends together perfectly for me. I actually think it has one of the best like werewolf scenes ever in it, with Anna Paquin in the Little Red Riding Hood turn of events that happens there. I absolutely love it, set to a killer soundtrack. And to me, Little Sam here has become an icon, and he's an icon of Halloween. I love the just desserts, like the you don't follow the traditions of Halloween and bad things happen. I am very much a nostalgic and traditional person that loves traditions and things like that. So this just hits me right there. It gives me all of those vibes. And then it is an anthology, which I love, because even if you're watching it and someone doesn't dig part of the anthology, there's bound to be one of the stories in there that is for someone that they can get some enjoyment out of. I love this thing from beginning to end. It gives me all those Halloween vibes. I'm so glad it's coming out on 4K soon. I got my order in. It was a Chase's Target. I got my order in with Arrow Video, and I cannot wait to get it on 4K and watch it for Halloween. It is a long time coming. It is going to be beautiful. I don't think this film has ever gotten its due completely. And it sums up all those things that I think of with Halloween and the vibes I had when I was a kid, and carving pumpkins and following the traditions of Halloween. And this has all of that spirit and then some. So for me, it is Trick or Treat, and I absolutely love this holiday. I love this season, and I hope everyone out there enjoys it. Thank you so much, Frank, for having me on. This was a blast. And until next time, be kind, rewind like always. This is Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon.
Hey everyone, I'm John from Let's Talk Entertainment and Media, and thanks Frank for having me in this video. And nothing gets me more excited than Halloween or spooky season. You know, the leaves are changing, the air starts to get colder. I live in the Northeast, so the air really starts to get cold, but I love that because it's starting to feel scary outside. It's starting to feel spooky outside, and I have to start the Halloween season off really early. I can't wait till October 1st because there's not enough time to watch all these movies. So once September 1st rolls around, you get the pumpkin spice latte, and you start checking out horror movies. And I like to start the season off with 1996's Scream, directed by Wes Craven. And you know what? The first horror movie I ever saw was 1984's A Nightmare on Elm Street, also directed by Wes Craven. And not many directors can say that they have directed two classic films. In my opinion, Wes Craven not only directed two classic films, he also directed a third in Shocker, and I'll love that movie till the day I die. But not many movies can take the horror tropes, or more importantly, the slasher tropes, and turn them upside down. And for a guy who directed one of the greatest slashers of all time, there's no better person than him to direct this movie. And this movie itself was very meta, winking at the camera, letting you know all those horror tropes that you saw in movies like Halloween. One of the best scenes in this movie is actually featuring the Halloween score, because Jamie Kennedy's character is watching the movie, and you got the score for Halloween, and it works so perfectly in this movie. Wes Craven even has a cameo in this movie called Fred, looking like Freddy Krueger. So it's banking on you loving horror, and it won't work unless you do truly love horror movies, because I saw this movie before I saw any other horror movie except for A Nightmare on Elm Street. So I didn't really know too much about Halloween the first time I saw this movie, and I didn't appreciate it. But as I grew up and got older, this movie is an every single year watch for me. I have to watch the entire franchise every single year. Even the ones I might not love as much as this one, I still have to start every single spooky season off with 1996's Scream. And I think that's the one that really gets me into the spirit of Halloween. And thanks again, Frank, for having me here on the video. I really appreciate it, buddy. And thank you guys.
Thank you guys for watching the video. There are so many people that I wanted to partake in this video that have really been a special part for me as a content creator, and just wonderful people that I wanted you guys to know about. So first and foremost, like to thank the Cobwebs channel, Mid-Level Media, Born to Be Rad, Sledgehammer Horror, AVA Pop Culture, Our Life in Horror, Beyond the Grave Media, Death Ray, Davey Death Ray, The Night Watch Zone, Nightmare Collective, Room for Scream, Bearded Film Guy, and Let's Talk Entertainment and Media. Thank you so much. So many people, and I'm so glad that they were able to take some time off their schedule and let me know why Halloween, why spooky season is so special to them, and their movie that gets them hyped up for Halloween time. So thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. If you do, I really appreciate it. And check out my tier memberships. Thank you to John from Let's Talk Entertainment Media, William Driver, and Insomniac. Thank you guys, and happy spooky season.